Hello, it's system review time, and what am I reviewing today, just in case you didn't read the title? Well, do you remember the RG350? I reviewed one of these, this one in fact, a while ago, and then more recently you might be aware of the other Anbernic variants of that, the RG350M, and more recently the RG350P. Well, with those in mind, I received an email recently from the very nice people at tomtop.com asking me would I like to review the new Anbernic 280M, to which I said yes please, I would like to very much. One of these, this one in fact. Full disclosure, I did not pay for this with my own money. However, I am permitted to say what I like, give an honest review, which is exactly what this will be. So, what can I tell you about this? It is, well, it's a lot like the RG350, if you remember what that's like. It's a open dingux powered, well, let me read you the specs. Let me find the top of the box. Let me edit this video. Aluminium, did I say that? Aluminium alloy shell, CNC process. JZ4770, 1 gigahertz. I guess that's the CPU. DDR2, 512 megabytes. Built-in capacity, 16 gigabyte TF card. 2.8 inch, 320 by 480. Full view IPS screen. Fit perfectly. Super tempered glass. Support Type-C charging function, low battery LED indicator, stereo speakers and headphone output, 2,500 mAh, 6 hours of battery life, support TF card, expansion up to 256 gigabytes. All of this is very good. Also, I must tell you, not only do you have the 16 gigabyte micro SD card in this with the operating system on it, but TomTop also include built-in a 32 gigabyte micro SD card with 2,500 games. We're talking ROMs here. We will look into this shortly. What I'm going to do now is turn the camera around. I'm going to move and point the camera at this, and we can take a closer look because you want to see this, not me. Bear with me. Okay, here we go then. What can I tell you about this? The first thing I can tell you is it's gorgeous. There are different versions of this with different coloured finishes on them. The one I've seen online already reviewed by a few people is like a gradient purple, pink to blue. This one is black. I like this one more. The case, as suggested by the M, is metal, and you can tell when you're holding it, apart from the fact that if you get it out of the box in the morning and it's cold, it also weighs significantly more than the RG350. It feels lovely. The D-pad has a very firm feel to it. It's a precision piece of hardware. The analog stick is, compared to the RG350, much lower, but it's still not one of those PSP style slidey horizontally things. It pivots, which is what you want, and also it's clicky, so yep, you want that as well, though I'm not sure what games will make use of that. You've got L1, L2, R1, R2 in easily accessible positions, which is nice. Start and select. 2 micro SD cards. Unlike the RG350, where the operating system is stored internally. Here it's external. They've covered it, or they had covered it with a sticker, so you can't accidentally pop the operating system card out. And boy, they don't want you popping it out accidentally. This sticker took some doing to remove. Why did I remove it? Custom firmware, but that's for another video. We won't be looking at that in this video because I haven't sorted it out yet, but it exists. This one is where you put all your files, and where TomTop have put 2,500 game files, which is really nice of them. Reset button, speakers, power button, volume up and down. On the top, OTG, that's a USB type C, I believe that's for data transfer. USB DC, that's also USB C for charging. Interesting that they're separate. I'm not a technically minded person who would know why they can't have them both in one port, but I guess they can't. Headphone socket, and that pretty much, oh, and you've got a little light there that tells you when it's turned on, in case you're not aware that it's turned on when it's turned on. On the back you have some text that I'm not going to bother to read. You can read it yourself if you want to. And these nice rubber, well, grips, if you like. I find them good in that they will protect it from getting scratched when you put it down. I hear people talk about they give you something to grip when you're holding it. Well, I don't know how they hold it, but when I'm holding it, my fingers are like that. They're nowhere near these. So maybe other people have strange hands. I don't know, but that's you know, people are different. An interesting thing that people have remarked on the RG350, it also had this Anbernic logo, and a lot of people didn't like it because it was orange. You know, the ones with the orange around the outside and the plastic, this was all black, but that was orange, and it stood out and people were distracted by it. It didn't bother me, but some people didn't like it. Well, now it's silver and very nice, a little bit smaller as well. And that is the thing, the whole thing is smaller than the RG350, and apart from there being one less analog stick, it's largely the same beast. So yeah, let's just turn it on now, and I'm sure you're absolutely sick of hearing me waffling about it and you want to see what it does, so I'll show you. Okay, I'm going to zoom in a bit. The first thing I can tell, oh yeah, that's, camera didn't like that much. The first thing I can tell you is this screen is gorgeous. It is lovely, it is bright, it is crisp. It's not super mega high resolution, and it doesn't need to be. Because the stuff you're playing on it isn't super mega high resolution. We're playing retro stuff on here. But the brightness and the contrast and the saturation of the colour, my eyes are loving it. So there's that. The stuff that's on here, if you're familiar with the RG350 and other Open Dingux handhelds and similar, there are quite a few things that are using kind of Linux based variants for their operating systems. They're all much of a muchness in terms of how they work and what's on them. So you've got your the kind of settings you would expect to find on one of these things: wallpaper, sound mixer, system info, user, you know, you don't need me to tell you about these things. Applications, you've got a clock. You've got Dingux Commander, which is like a command line thing, I do believe. I don't know how things like that. Okay. Alright, no, I'm wrong. It's not a command line thing at all. It's a file explorer where you can transfer files from one folder to another, which is cool. Now I don't know how to exit. I knew this would happen.
I don't want to do anything. I just want to. Just let me out, please. No, I want to leave. I want to quit. Just get off. Quit there. Thank you. So you've also got Explorer. What does that do compare? Okay, this is literally you look through things. MP4. I thought I put one in there. Okay. Anyway, that's that. Can I? Oh, I can exit that one. That's good. Terminal. I'm not even going to try. Image viewer. Yeah, media player with subtitles, multi-format music player, input tester, input and rumble tester, RG350 test. You see, this is so closely related to the RG350 that there are RG350 apps on here. Music player, yeah, okay. So that's all standard stuff. Now, emulators, MameX, DOSBox, Final Burn Alpha, I don't know how to pronounce that, but it's NES, Gameboy, Gameboy Color, WonderSwan, Open Beats of Rage, yeah, Genesis Plus GX, which is actually Master System and Game Gear. I imagine it plays Mega Drive as well, but for that, Pico Drive, which will also do 32X and Mega CD. WonderSwan, Snares, PS1, NeoGeo Pocket Color, Game Boy Advance, PC Engine, and NeoGeo AES or MVS. And then we've got games which are like homebrew games to run on the hardware natively. So, shall we have a look at some of these? I played a couple of them, and some of them I just plain don't understand. Like this one, Worship Vector. What? I've got no idea what's going on. New wave in 5, 4, 3, 2, what's happening? Yeah, okay. I just thanks for playing. I really wasn't playing. I have no idea what that is. It's fascinating. It looks like it could be really cool, but I've got no idea what it is. The volume on that was really loud, which is an interesting feature of this thing. The sound is, it can go quite loud, and the quality is quite good. There is a lack of bass that you would expect on something like this, but it is more bassy than some handhelds I've tried. Super Tux, that's kind of like Super Mario with a penguin. I'm not going to launch it. Spout. I'm not sure about that. I tried something, and what was it? What did I? That was it. Astrolander. This is Lunar Lander, kind of, and I like it. There's nothing fancy about it, and I'm really doing badly, but it's kind of amusing. I've totally stuffed it now. I should put it. Yeah, there we go. I'm out of fuel. I'm gonna die. There we go. So where's the? You've got a point you're meant to land on, but I've locked. There it is. Oops. Well, yeah. Okay. That's fun. Arkanoid, you know what that is. Block Rage. That is like columns. Lots of, or at least quite a few little games on here, native, Open Dingux stuff, Free Doom. They're cool. I'm not going to show you all of them because that's not really what this thing is all about. It's nice that they're there, but you don't buy one of these to play those. You buy one of these because of these, the emulators. Now, you get all of these built in straight out of the box, which is what I'm doing here. My intention actually is to do 2 videos. This straight out of the box video, and then one after I have installed custom firmware and more emulators. My reason for that is, like the RG350, the stuff that is installed out of the box, it works, but not necessarily brilliantly. Some of them, I've got to be fair here, some of them work perfectly and are really impressive, and more than enough of them work perfectly to make it a really cool piece of kit. What ones do I mean? Okay, the Gameboy emulator I love because it's just, how do I get the, I want the menu screen. Oh. This is not what I want. I want the options. Give me the options. Okay, settings. Select scaler. We want, what the hell one do we want? Full screen smooth. Okay. And we want ghosting. Okay, now let's go back to the game. Yeah, okay, start. It's great. It's fantastic. You can't really see the ghosting on here, on this game. But you do get a slight smeary effect on things with quicker movement. The colours are perfect, the sound is perfect. I mean, yes, it's not 100% authentic because you can play it in the dark. But it is so bang on classic Game Boy that I love it. I'm not going to spend ages on it. And I mean, you've got lots of options. You can fine tune it to your heart's content. But it's great. No, come on, that's enough of that. So that's one thing I love it for, and one emulator that I just think is epic. We'll go to Pico Drive. We'll do Sonic 1 because why not? Because you want to know, can it go super mega fast as it should do playing Sonic? Yes, it can. There would be something really wrong if it didn't. No screen tearing, no, I cannot fault it. It's just gorgeous. Okay. And obviously, all of these games are built in, and there's a lot. There's an awful lot. I don't know what is there. We can't some software programs, emulators, handhelds, whatever, you can like click to the right, but you can see we're going through at a pace here. So an oddity with how things have been done on here. It is fantastic that all of these games are included. What is a slight irritation is they're not in alphabetical order. They've been numbered, and the way they've been numbered doesn't follow any convention that I recognise. So you might know exactly what game you want, but you're gonna have to hunt for it. It's a good chance that the game you want will be here because there's a significant number of games and it's like the good stuff is here. Please don't ask me in comments, has it got blah? Because as soon as I've done this video, I'm going to be putting all my own stuff on it. And I won't know whether blah is on it or not. But there is a significant, and when I say blur, I mean the random game of your choosing that I don't know. Yeah, I find the numbering of it in a non-specific order to be... I don't know why they did it. Yeah, that's just a thing. I've seen it done on other systems as well. I find it odd. Yeah, Mega Drive works great. PS1. Okay, so Gran Turismo. No, I was going to say Gran Turismo 2, but no, it's Gran Turismo on the PS1. We've got manual gears, and they're not mapped to where I want them, and I want to change. There, that's what I wanted. Okay, gotta have the internal view. So, as you can see, where the hell are all the other cars? It runs great, actually. And PS1 is probably the most advanced system this thing is going to emulate. You're not going to be getting any N64 or Dreamcast running on this. It's not quite up to that. I think there may be some... I think there is an N64 emulator for it, but having tried that on the RG280M, it's like, no, it's not up to it. Oh, and here I am driving like a complete numpty. So really the most advanced thing you're going to run on here is the PS1, but it does it really nicely. Let's just turn that volume down a little bit. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what's the most demanding PS1 game, but Gran Turismo was pretty advanced for its time, and it's just running brilliantly. So I'm happy. Exit, please. I don't know if that's for the... No, I want to exit the emulator. Let's just hit reset. I can't be bothered to work out there. That is one of the things. Multiple different emulators all have different control conventions in terms of how to get out of the emulator. So I just reset there because... Yeah. Okay then, let's have a look at Pocket Snares, the Snares emulator. I can tell you right now that Super Mario Kart works just fine, and that is the game that I usually go straight to test the Snares emulation on handhelds and other systems. But I just thought I'd have a look at a different game. Actually, I'm going to have a look at a couple. F-Zero. Because while Super Mario Kart is a game that I'm happy to play with a little bit of frame skip if necessary, F-Zero isn't. I really feel if this game isn't running at like 60 frames per second or whatever, then it's not cutting it. So how well does this play on here? And the answer is brilliantly. Unlike my playing ability, which is appalling, and I always did suck at this game, but it is silky smooth, it is glorious, and that's very pleasing. So that's good. It shows that Snares emulation on here is up to scratch. Now, I will just do that. Oh, okay. That brought us back here. So let's let's try Doom, because what isn't on here is Starwing, which is what I would have hoped to have tested to see how well it does the Super FX chip based games. But Doom is Super FX 2. It's pretty challenging. I mean, it challenged the Snares. And on here, it's struggling actually. It's running, but I wouldn't say it's running really well. I'm not sure to what extent is that the Snares struggled with it, and to what extent is it the emulator struggling. is working, but the sound is a little bit glitchy. It's crackling a little bit there. So it's probably at the limit of what it can do. I don't know, is that the emulator? I don't think it's any lack of power on the part of the hardware. I think it's just the emulator is struggling. I'm just checking to make sure there is no star wing here. Of course, it might be somewhere unexpected or titled wrongly, because Super Mario Kart was not called Super Mario Kart, it was called Mario Racing, just to be confusing. So a Star Wing, Star Fox might... that doesn't appear to be there. Okay. We'll bang out of that. GBA. And I've got the wrong button. So, as you can see, it runs perfectly. I hope you can see, I hope my camera is doing a half decent job. But from where I'm sitting, this looks great. And it's the kind of thing that this handheld is perfectly suited to. The GBA, before the advent of all of these emulation-based handhelds, the GBA was my favourite handheld, and I think in terms of original hardware, it still is. You know, I've got a PSP, I've got a DS, I've got a 3DS, but those all seem... they just don't quite do it for me, where the GBA, there's a purity to it, so being able to play it on here, it's great, love it, and it just does a great job of it. Right, now, you would expect the 16-bit systems to run perfectly. It does, though. Okay, I'm going to get on to some things that I find odd, not perfect, not as I would like. We've got mame. This, I don't actually think there's anything wrong with this emulator. I think what it is, it's got a whole load of ROMs on the SD card, but this emulator can't necessarily run them all. I don't know if it's going to run this one, because I think that the ROMs that it's trying to access are for Final Burn Alpha. This might work. I don't know what I've just loaded actually. Okay. Yeah, that's struggling a little bit. Yeah, that's totally it's struggling with those screens. When you actually get into the game, it seems okay. I've never played this game before. It's just like it will. I can't remember. I was trying to find the button that would give you the full ROM list of games that are. How do we get out of it? This is like games that it will play, and you have to relist them all, and it will maybe give you another one or two. I think there are about 3 ROMs here. Street Fighter 3, it won't even run that. And I'll give one other. Yeah, Hook, that one runs. And then yeah, all of these in red, it won't run these because well, they're not the right file type. They will though run on Final Burn Alpha, so we'll have a look at that. Street Fighter 3. Some of these, again, it's going to struggle. Not sure how well it's going to do Street Fighter 3. Yeah. Here we go. It runs, but it's not great. I wouldn't actually say that's playable. So, how do we quit? Like that. Yeah. It's got a big ROM set here. It's got a lot of ROMs, and most of them, to be fair, run just fine. There's nothing wrong with the emulator. It's just some of the games are just a little bit too ambitious, a bit too challenging for this hardware. But there are plenty of games that are absolutely fine. Truckstone, great. I'm not actually a fan of Truckstone, but I just thought, yep, this is where I was in the list, so I selected it, basically. But as you can see, it runs just fine. There's nothing wrong with the emulator, there's nothing wrong with the hardware, it's just things like Street Fighter 3 are beyond it. Pity, but I would have been gobsmacked if it had been able to run it. It's just a demanding game. But there are some that I would expect it to be able to run that it actually can't, and for an odd reason, and it might actually be that I just don't understand, I'm missing something, and that's the Sega Super Scalar games like Outrun. Let me show you if I can remember my alphabet and find Outrun. And Outrun, here we go. It's not that it doesn't have the power. You see, that's running just fine. And it will start. That's the brake. There's the accelerator. The problem is, I've got no steering. I can't steer. No left and right. I'm using the D-pad. I'm using the analog stick. It will not steer. Can we get options? Key config. No, nothing for steering. It's got the buttons, but nothing that will let me select the steering on it, which is just strange. So that's weird, and it does that with, I've tried it with this, I've tried it with Space Harrier, I've tried it with, oh god, what's that space game? Can't remember. And they all had the same problem, couldn't steer. So it's an oddity. Most of the games in this ROM set will run. You know, largely it's cool. I find there are just a few that are not quite running right, which is a shame. So for arcade, it's like patchy. And then there's the weird thing. Let me go back to Final Burn Alpha. We'll have a look at Metal Slug, because I want to show you something. Pay attention to the speed of the music. And the speed that stuff is happening, just in this first sequence. exactly as it should be. Which is cool. That on its own is like, I can forgive Final Burn Alpha's occasional quirks like on the Sega games because Metal Slug, it works brilliantly and that makes me happy. The emulator you would expect to use for Metal Slug is the NeoGeo emulator, but watch this. And more specifically, listen. That's too fast. That ain't right. I mean, it's kind of weird in that that's not what I wanted to do. Often you'll find handheld emulation systems will struggle a bit with NeoGeo and you'll get slowdown and everything, but this is running too fast. I don't know why. That's peculiar. I wasn't expecting that. So it's a mixed bag straight out of the box. I'm gonna go and sit down and face the camera and give you my conclusions.
Okay then, so what do I think of this, having tried it? It's actually a tricky one to answer. The very short answer is I like it. Physically, I think it's lovely. It is, of all the handhelds from China that I've tried, and I've tried quite a few and got quite a few, I like this one the most. The lack of the second deep analog stick doesn't matter at all. I mean, I've got the two analog sticks on the RG350 and there's only one game I've ever played that makes use of that extra stick, and do I even bother to play that game? No, I don't. So you won't miss it. And the stick is set lower means you can stick this in your pocket more easily and you don't have to worry about it catching on your jeans pocket. Or I don't think I'll actually put it in my jeans, I'll put it in my jacket pocket, but you don't have to worry about it catching the way a raised stick does. It's smaller, it's more pocketable. The weight of it you might notice more while it's in your pocket, but when you're actually holding it and playing it, I actually like the extra weight. Not sure why that is, but I do. In terms of the operating system and the emulators, the OS is just fine. I like Open Dingux, if that's how you're meant to pronounce it. It might just be a strange word play on Open Dingu, spelt weird. Don't know. Anyway, the emulators on here I think are maybe not the optimum versions. I'm not sure, because as you saw, some of them weren't necessarily running the way they should or could. I don't, that's a thing. This is good because you've got all those ROMs built in and you've got emulators built in from scratch. A lot of these handhelds that you can buy are not necessarily good for someone who doesn't want to tinker, who doesn't want to download their own ROMs. They just want to buy the thing, turn it on and play it. And with this, because you've got 2,500 ROMs built in, you can just buy it and play it. So for your non-technically minded person, this is great. You won't get perfection straight out of the box, as I've shown you, but it's good enough. It is very playable. You've got a lot of really good games. You've got a lot of the really popular games. If there's a smash hit game on a 16-bit console, and there are quite a few for the PS1, not a massive game list, but you know, it's got Gran Turismo on it. What more do you want? It's got plenty to get you started, and maybe then you can get adventurous and download some more if it's not got exactly what you want. But for an emulation handheld beginner, this is great. You've got a lot to play straight out of the box. It's not perfect, as I showed, but it's good enough, I think. And then we get into the possibilities for someone like myself who likes to tinker. I have downloaded custom firmware for this. I haven't tried it yet, beyond seeing that it works, and it's actually very, very, very similar to this. It's got exactly the same emulators, so I don't know what's different, to be honest. I may do another video to follow up this one to show the possibilities with different emulators. We'll see how that turns out when I've installed new emulators. Is the performance significantly better? Are the quirks sorted? We'll find out. But yeah, straight out of the box, I think it's good. It's not perfect, it's good enough. The price, you have to make up your own mind. This is, I believe, more expensive than an RG350. A little bit cheaper, I think, than an RG350M. So you make up your own mind on that kind of thing. It's not for me to judge, and particularly given that I didn't pay for it, it wouldn't be right for me to judge. But I do think it's really good. Put it this way, while I've had an RG350 for quite a while and like it a lot, the handheld that I have carried around with me in my pocket for the past year has been the LDK Game, because it fits in my pocket more easily. This is going to be the system that I carry around in my pocket, because it will fit nicely in my pocket and it's more powerful. Yeah, that I think said something. It is a very cool piece of kit. The size of it, the dimensions of it, I think are absolutely great. The feel of it, because it's metal, is great. The performance is good. Needs a little bit of fine tuning, I think, with the emulators, but even then, just straight out of the box, good enough, I think. Very pleasing. Okay, should be another video coming up in a few days, maybe about a week, where I will have installed the custom firmware and a new emulator set and my own selection of ROMs, and then we'll have another look. So till then, oh, before I go, link down there where you can buy this from TomTop. And it's not, I make no money from it. It's not an affiliate link. There is like tracking in it so that TomTop can see that purchases have come from the link in this video. But I make nothing from this. So just for those who think this isn't like an independent, unbiased video, it is entirely unbiased. You can probably tell that by now. Okay. Thank you for watching.
Right, hit the subscribe button or I'm getting naked on camera. Go on, do it. Right, you asked for it. Ah, you asked for it. Ha, ha, uh-oh.
Dingux Commander, which will be like a command line doofus. Doofer. It's not a doofus. It's a yeah, a God, edit. You got Dingus Command. Dingux? God. Edit some more.